John Caldwell fights bullying. He's an anti-bullying advocate. He's an ambassador with the Ilana Madeline Foundation, Brodie's Law Foundation. He was raised in caravan parks in a cycle of violence. He was bullied himself, left school at 15. He's Victoria's Australian of the Year and a nomination. Favourite, we're told, to be the Australian of the Year, announced soon. Now, you've got an extraordinary background, a tough upbringing. What happened?
Yeah, my parents were both battled alcohol and depression. We were a poor family. We travelled a lot, so they decided in their wisdom it was a good idea to live in a bus. And so as kids we would go from school to school, so never a lot of security around. And there was also an awful amount of violence in the family and also outside. So there was always brawls everywhere.
Domestic violence, you mean?
Domestic violence, and also, you know, with friends of my father, he would always be picking fights after he'd had a few drinks. And so we got to witness some things that I feel children should never have to see.
Like what?
The type of violence, and I spell it out really clearly in my book, and the type of violence, very graphical violence, heads going through windows, the types of things like that. But it's interesting talking about Australia Day and what that does mean to me. For many years, I hated the thought of Australia Day because I thought it was about boozing and barbecues and heads ending up through the window. But as you get older, you start to discover all the other things about Australia Day and about celebrating what it is to be Australian, and that those drunken brawl barbecues are in the minority.
How old are you now?
36.
What's your first memory in life?
It is a violent memory, actually. It was, and I had to collaborate with my older sister to make sure I was right on this memory, because it was from when I was 3 years old, and it was sitting in the back of a car and watching my father in the headlights pounding my mother's face into the bitumen. And we both remember it very, very clearly, so it's quite horrific.
How do you recover from that?
I don't think you ever recover from it, and I don't think it's the same as the bullying at school. I think I did spend a lot of years talking to kids saying how you overcome it and life gets so much better and you forget about it. And lately I've been telling them that's actually not the truth, because those things stick in the back of your mind. And, every time you walk into a party in a room, you doubt whether these people want you there or want to talk to you, or no matter how much success you've achieved. And it's the same with the violence. You never get over it. I think you learn to cope with it, and you certainly learn never to partake in any kind of violence yourself, though.
But that's interesting, because we hear about the cycle of violence, a cycle of domestic violence, and the child that grows up in a violent home is more likely to engage in domestic violence himself, more likely to be violent people. You have risen above that somehow.
I have.
How
and
why?
I think everybody has the ability to do that in them. And I think I've been a little unpopular for my views on saying that I don't think you need to be a victim of your circumstances. And in this day and age particularly, I think there's the internet's there's enough information to show people what the right way to do things is. When I was growing up, it was actually television, and I would watch television and think, oh, those people have better houses, better cars, better lives. They sit down to dinner every night together. And I just learnt through that there's another way of doing things. And people constantly ask me and search for who was my mentor or what was my magical turning point, because they don't want to believe that you can just make the difference on your own. And I do believe anyone, anywhere can actually choose to make a difference in their life.